It's a windy fall afternoon in Kaktovik. Flocks of snow geese land on Barter Island to feed on cotton grass before migrating south, and some hungry visitors show up for hunters' whale scraps. Robert Thompson, an Inupiat hunter and wildlife guide, says there have been dramatic changes over the past 50 years.
When I first went to Kaktovik, the pack ice was visible all summer. Pack ice meaning ice that doesn't melt during the summer. Recently, we had 700 miles open water toward the North Pole. So that's affecting the polar bear.
Todd Atwood is polar bear researcher with the United States Geological Survey.
Optimal habitat for polar bears now is basically absent. It's disappeared. That tends to be the trigger for bears to either stay with the sea ice as it retreats further over those deeper waters, or for a growing proportion of the population to make the swim to shore.
Scientists have recorded polar bears swimming as far as 350 kilometers over several days. Even strong swimmers may not survive the challenge, says Thompson.
The ice around is melting. They try to swim ashore. The cubs don't make it.
Less ice makes it harder for polar bears to hunt seals, according to Atwood.
It's changing their feeding behavior. And one of the things that we do see around communities, local coastal communities, is bears aggregating in sometimes fairly large numbers, several dozens of bears, to feed on subsistence remains of bowhead whale carcasses.
Posters in Kaktovik warn people to be on the lookout for polar bears. This time of year, the local bear patrol gets hundreds of calls about bears around houses.
One of the concerns that we have with bears coming ashore is that they're coming ashore in areas where people are active, whether it's near communities where people are engaged in subsistence activities, or whether it's in the oil and gas industrial footprint where people are working on a daily basis. And that raises the likelihood of human-bear interactions and conflict.
Research led by USGS scientists shows that in the first decade of the 21st century, the number of polar bears in the southern Beaufort Sea dropped 40%.
You know, one of the things that we're pretty confident of as a polar bear research community is that without sea ice, you're not going to have polar bears. They represent kind of the canary in the cryosphere in the sense that they're the animal that is probably most associated with the threat of climate change to wildlife persistence.
The International Union for Conservation of Nature lists the polar bear as a vulnerable species most threatened by the loss of sea ice. With an estimated 26,000 bears remaining worldwide, the group says all but a few of those bears could be lost by the end of the century without action on climate change. Natasha, Mozgovaya, VOANews, Kaktovik, Alaska.